everyone, welcome to Amberg Acres. On March 22nd, I went to see my doctor, or actually the doctor's assistant, for the post-op on my arm. And this was the first time I had a chance to talk to the doctor. I didn't get to see him on the day of the surgery because I was out of it, and he came in and talked to my wife. But I never got to ask him any questions after he was done what he actually did. So on the 22nd, I went for the post-op, and the assistant had pictures. The pictures weren't very good. And I shouldn't say it like that. The pictures were okay, but they were zoomed in, and you couldn't tell what was what, really, or I couldn't tell what was what. So there's no point in me posting the pictures on YouTube because you ain't gonna be able to tell what it is. It's just a blur of stuff in there. Okay. So in the previous video, I had mentioned that they used metal screws, and that's how they tie the tendons off. So they do use screws, but they're not metal. I got that off the internet. So the screws are like some type of plastic, and she said the name of the plastic. But they screw them in, so they used 5 of them in my shoulder. They screw them in, and then after a year or two, it just turns the bone, and you don't, if you go through, or you have another MRI done in 2 years, she said they won't even be able to tell the screws are there. So that's what they used. So the one thing that surprised me was that when they went in there, they started cleaning up the bone and stuff, and the bicep tendon was actually in a spot where it was being damaged. Now, I don't know if I was born that way, or if it's something from working all these years that the bone grew and kind of closed off the area where that tendon goes through. But he had to move that tendon. So that's where a couple of screws went in, where he moved that tendon. Then I told you the top one was torn, which it was. So some of the screws were in there. And then the other picture that she showed us was of all the sutures going from the screw to the tendon. And it zoomed in so far it actually looks like a braided rope, on the picture. And with a big knot on the end of it, and that's how they tie it to the screw, and they tie it to the tendon, and that's how they pull everything back into place and put it back where it was. So all in all, she said my surgery wasn't that bad. It's a very common injury in people my age. They just keep working and don't realize they have a tear, and it just gets worse and worse. And she basically said if I didn't come in when I did, at some point I would have lost use of my arm. I would have had to have a total replacement. Now the ball in the socket looked fine. She showed pictures of that. There's really no arthritis in the ball and socket itself. The arthritis was all around it. Actually, it was more up on this, whatever this other bone is up here, your shoulder bone or your collarbone. I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know it off the top of my head. But that seemed to be where all the bone spurs and everything were growing off that area and in between there. So the ball in the socket itself was intact and in good shape. So that's good news. My next appointment is end of April. At that time, they're saying maybe, I'll either get out of the sling or I can at least get rid of the pillow. There's usually a pillow in here that makes my arm stick out way out here. I'm way out here with my arm normally when I'm at the house. But I take it out to get it under the jacket. Otherwise, I can't put my jacket on, So that's an update on the surgery. And the reason we're out here today is I wanted to show you this little area here. All winter long, this was all tracks in here. Every time you got a snow, it came out here, and this was tracks. And the reason this is like this is all these little branches, all these little trees here. This is what they talk about when they talk about stem count in your woods. This is what you need to have, and we don't have a lot of it. This is actually right on the lot line here. We don't have a lot of it, but where we do have it, you can tell that the traffic, the deer traffic is very heavy in this area. Now you look at a little tree like this one. This tree is probably, you know, I'll bet you this tree is 10 years old already, but every year it gets eaten off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 8 different shoots coming out of that main trunk. So each year it gets eaten off and it grows back, and then it grows a little bit, and then the following year they eat it off again. So in order to get an area like this, you basically need to take down the bigger trees. You need to get the canopy open so that this undergrowth starts to grow. Now why this area has quite a bit of it, I don't know. But this isn't a lot. This is just one little area here. If you look right over there, it's all bare. You know, and the trees are thicker over there. So there's obviously a little bit of opening here that this is growing a little better in this area. But I just wanted to show you that. That's what we're shooting for, to try and get that in some of our areas, especially where we want the deer to bed. So that's why you have to cut down the trees. You have to do either hinge cuts, or, you know, these bigger ones, like I said in the last video, they don't hinge cut. So you're better off just dropping them, taking them out for firewood, or just dropping them and making a thicker cover for the deer. So today what I want to do is I brought out my little saw, my little one-handed, what would that be called? A sawzall? My little one-handed sawzall. And we're going to walk through here because I can see right now with this snow yet, I can see the main trails that they're using through the woods over here. And I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to take that sawzall and clip the branches so that it opens it up a little more and makes not so much a big wide corridor like I did on the last video, but just a deer trail, and that deer trail is open. So they start using that trail and only that trail, you know. And then they'll stick to that trail. They will. You know, they'll follow that whenever they're walking through the woods. They'll follow one of those trails versus trying to go through the woods where they're getting branches hitting them and stuff, you know, just like we would do. So I want to make it at least maybe, you know, lawnmower wide, that once a year I could drive through there and mow it to stop all this little stuff from growing up. And I'm just going to mow the trail, you know, and I'll mow the trail from here all the way to the other side of the property. And it pretty much, you can follow them. They go right through all the way to the other end. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a couple of them up today, and we'll see how much I get done, you know. With this arm, it's kind of hard to do stuff, so we'll get going on that. And I got this. This is what they call a pruning blade. It's made for pruning. On this little one-handed, so I can just walk through and kind of take down some of the branches with this here. And that's about all I'm going to do for today, you know. So let's get started. Got that one cleaned up. Goes right through there, comes out, so it's kind of makes a Y here up at this end. But they have a trail coming out of the neighbor's woods right there. And then right over here where I just was cutting before, there's a trail coming out. So now they connect here in the middle, and we'll go down the hill. So I'm basically going with anything that I'm going to hit with my head, I'm cutting off. And then that'll be more than enough for the deer to walk through. So here's another Y. It branches off and goes up the hill. So I'm gonna go clean that up. And basically we've got three different trails coming out of the neighboring property that are all coming and joining this one trail here. All right, so I got this trail going up the hill here, opened up enough that I can drive a garden tractor through there. I got the one going that way, and then I got one going that way, all going over. They all go over into the neighboring property. If you are wondering where I get my ideas from, one of the channels I watch is Jake Ellinger. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. His channel is 360 Solutions, and he hunts on about a 7-acre piece that he has done all this stuff to, and done hinge cutting and all that. And he has nice bucks all the time on there because of what he did to the property. So seeing this is my first year up here, I'm doing as much as I can, and obviously with my arm I'm kind of limited right now, but we're doing as much as we can of the simple stuff, you know, to get this all working and control the deer. The other guy watches Seymour Bucks, and I forget what his name is, but he does a lot of hinge cutting on other people's properties and stuff, and they all have real good ideas. Now they ain't all going to work on your property, you know. You may not have hardwoods to regenerate like I have here. Is mostly pines. So when I hinge cut, these pines don't hinge cut, they just kind of fall over and snap off. So you have to take what they show you and just kind of, you know, kind of work it into your property, how you're going to hunt your property. And that's the best you can do. And at some point, if you got a whole ton of money and you want to hire them to come out to your property, then that's what you do. But for right now, we're doing it ourselves, and I think we're making some really good improvements here this year. I'll show you when I get over that way over there where I made that corridor. That really looks nice in there now that I dropped some of those trees, and I think that's going to really help. All right, so we're going to work our way down the hill here, and we should be to the wood yard pretty quick. Something I've been seeing all along out here are the further in I get out see all these deer beds, and these are probably does that hang out in here at night. There's one here, there's one right over there by that other tree over there. I don't know if you can see that one. Right about there somewhere. Right in there. There's one. But they're all over in here, so they're obviously bedding in here. It's not a lot of cover in this area, but they are bedding in here. So here you can see some more of them beds. There's one right there, one right next to it, and then there's one right over here. So they're all over in this area. There's another trail going, pretty heavy trail going right down and basically parallel to my logging trail I have over there. So we might pursue that at a different time. But here we are now. Here we are, we're heading down the hill here. We come out right in the wood yard. So one of the things these guys do with their little hardwood trees is they try and get these branches to come down over the trails that they make, so that the deer use them, you know, for their licking branches and whatever. I don't have a lot of them. All I got are these pine trees. Now I don't know, and like all these pine trees, the bottom branches are all dead. They just snap right off. So I don't know if that's really gonna work, you know. So I like to try and leave these little ones here, just in case. That's right next to the trail here, and there's one right over here. This one right here. So pretty much looks like they've been eating this off already. These branches are all nibbled off. So I like to leave them there and they can keep using them. It's not the perfect branch, but you know, if I do find one that a bigger branch, you pull them down with a piece of string and you hang them out over the trail here, and then the deer will start using them as their social branch or whatever they're called. All right, I got this one all the way down to the woodyard area there. Let's walk down the hill here. Here I've seen a bunch of feathers. I don't know if that's one of them little grouse. I know it's not Leonard because he was just here. But there's I saw 3 or 4 of them together one day. So I don't know if that's his whole family or who they all are, but normally he's the only one I see. He needs to watch out because those cats are around here. I have them on the camera all the time, those bobcats. So as I get down here, this is my trail. My main trail here goes to the this is where I was going to make the wood yard. I got some logs stacked up there already. I just got to take down a couple of trees there, give myself a little more space for moving around with the tractor, and flatten it off a little maybe, you know, so we're not in ruts and, you know, whatever. But so as I got down here, you can see the trail going up the hill there now. Another trail right here coming. That comes from the road. They go up this way and then they cross. And they cross onto our other piece of property over there, or 6 acres or 7 acres, whatever it is. And they cross there, and then they come up. They actually come up into the apple orchard going this way. So we're going to clean that one up a little bit too and keep that one trimmed so they keep following the same paths. A branch to the face. I don't know how bad it is. Oh yeah, I'm bleeding pretty good. Huh. Those are the new hazards of my new job here, taking care of the woods. All right. So this trail continues right through here. So we're just gonna follow that up and trim it up. It's about, I'll say 100 yards to the other lot line. All right, so we got this cleaned up in here. I found a couple of red pines. Here's one right here. And I don't believe I planted these, so I don't know where they're coming from. There's a couple more beds right there. Right there, and there's a couple more up ahead here. So this here is a good example of what I'm talking about. A branch like this, it's too high. It's too high for the deer. Let me set the camera up here a little bit. So it's too high for the deer. So you tie a rope on it to bring it down to their level like that. And when they come through, they use that branch as their social branch or licking branch, whatever you want to call it. Another bed right over there. Another bed right here. Now here's another, this is another, I think that's a cherry. At some point, doesn't really have a whole lot of branches on, but now as I get up in here, some of these trees are just these little 1-inch trees. I'll come out whenever I can, August or whenever I can use that circle saw, that Milwaukee weed eater with the circle saw blade on it. And I'll come through and I'll finish this out right here. Because it's all just the little 1-inch saplings in there. Okay, so we got that all the way through the property now. That's one. We're gonna go over and look at what I did here just before, like days before I went in for surgery. I went and did a bunch of cutting. So let's go take a look at that. So I just want to show you, this is that corridor, or that deer trail that leads to my corridor. Up there is the corridor right up in here. So this is already being used pretty heavily by the deer, which I knew it would. As soon as you open it up, they start using it, because it's easier to walk through this than it is to walk through that. So they're using this, they're going back and forth on it. I have several other areas out here that I'm going to do, but today I'm just going to get the one trail done. I just wanted to show you how I'm doing this, and we'll get back to the other ones some other day. You know, this snow is kind of miserable walking through right now, but it'll be gone shortly, I think. All right. So here's my corridor I cut right through the woods down to the end of the property over there. And what I did is I piled up all the branches and the trees that I cut from this corridor. I kind of started piling them up here, and then I cut a couple also. And this is blocking this all off now, so there's like a visual block from here, this corridor that I made, to that food plot out there. Let's walk down this corridor. I want to show you a couple things. So right through here was that little opening that I left, and a couple of trees came down over it, so I'm going to try and clean those up. I'm going to need to wait until I can use a bigger saw for that. That one's a little too big for this guy. So as we continue down here, they're already using this. They're going right in here, and they're right under that tree there. They got a bed. So what I need to do is I need to clean off some of these branches so it's a little cleaner for them to walk in there. But I'm going to wait here until the snow is gone, and then I'm going to do a couple of areas. And then I might even do, you know, like make a tunnel across and come out the other side there. And that's the second step of doing this. So all along here, you can see how this is all thick, real thick now. I knocked over a few trees. I left some of the big ones. Opened up some of the sky. There's probably a few more that could be cut. But I want to wait now until all these leaves and see what it looks like this summer. Then I'll come back next winter, and if I have to take some of these other ones down. I like to leave the oaks. You know, those are good trees. Those are trees for the future if you want to log the property someday. The big white pines could go, but all right, let's walk down here a little further. Here's another spot they started using right away. Right in there. They got 2 beds right there. Could be one. It looks like there's two of them laying in there. But I just got to clean out these little branches here, and so they can freely walk in and out of there. You know, that's the objective here. So we cut this all the way down. So we kind of drop trees all the way down through here to kind of make a visual block between this corridor and that food plot out there. There's another place they've been going under, right up through here and underneath that tree there. Now the idea here is that come October, November, the does will be bedded in here, and if they're going into heat, the buck will want to come up the west side of this, because we normally got a west-northwest wind. So they'll want to come up my other trail that's on the west side of this, the other by the food plot. They'll want to come up there so that they can wind check the does in this thick area. And that is the intention here. Hopefully it works. Hopefully we start showing up more bucks here on this property by doing this type of stuff. But, you know, I don't know. So far I haven't had too many results, but you can see by the beds that they instantly started using it once the trees were down. So they like to cover. So we just gotta make some tunnels and some other things through here so that they need to freely be able to move through also, you know. So we still got to get in here and cut a little more. And then as you can see, they're using this corridor pretty heavily already, and it goes straight over into the neighboring property there. Now we're down here on the south end of the property here. Right up through there is the Pablo stand. I don't know if you can see the light up there is the food plot, and the Pablo stand is right down on the south end of it. I got a couple of trees here that I took down. I got a nice cherry that I cut. I'm going to save some of them logs. I'm not going to just leave them lay. So I'm going to dig them out once I can get the tractor back in here and stuff. But at some point, you know, this whole south edge of this area where I'm trying to make a bedding area in here, this whole south edge has to get thickened up. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I don't want to cut all these trees down. I got some nice oaks here on this end, so I want to leave those oaks up. But we need to thicken this up here so there's a visual, so that when I walk in at night to come out here hunting on this trail on the south end, if there are deer bedded in there, they don't see me. You know, there needs to be a visual block, and it'll go all the way up to that other food plot way up there. Make a visual block all the way along there. So they got this whole area here that they can spread out and bed in, and that's the goal. We're working on a little bit at a time. There's always something that seems to hold me up, you know, that I can't get it all done at once. But you know, there's always next year, right? So I think that's it for this video. I just wanted to show this, what I'm doing out here. And if you like this video, you know, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.